Hey, Pusnet, new little video. And on this one, I've been going through almost the five process of grieving. Been angry, I've been stuff before I could do denial was a big thing. I couldn't believe what I was seeing and stuff. But I think I calmed down now, and I think I found a way to approach this rant that I'm gonna do, and be a little bit more professional, I guess, with it, or be a little bit more calm. When you're French and Italian, sometimes your emotions are pretty strong. So the rant that I've gone, what we're talking about, we go about the market of illusions. And what am I talking about? Well, lately, I've been noticing that more and more people are getting into the medical part of survivals, and I think people are realizing, oh, I need more training and stuff, and where there's a need, usually your market follows. And there's great with that. I mean, there's no problem with people making money out of stuff. I mean, this is where opportunity is, and that's how the economy is built and stuff, and that's great. The issue is that the things that seems to be taught or even sold under those premises. And that's where, by reading some of those, I kind of usually disagree or have a lot of doubts about the validity of what's going. And I'm not saying, and this is why I call market of illusions. Illusion is more than, I'm not saying those people are lying, and I'm not saying that they have bad intention, because or else I would call it differently. I'm just saying the illusion as, I think that even some of the people that are selling those products or that are promoting some of their course don't quite realize the impact that this thing would have. And the problem that we have in the self-reliance is that we cannot really test our theories or what we're preaching or what we're looking at until something happens. The problem is when something happens is that really when you're going to need your tools. And if you look at it, I mean, we cannot go and create a monetary meltdown or an economy collapse just to see if our theory would work. So we have to kind of rely on the logic and what they call thought experiment. And in social science they do that a lot, because again, you cannot have a group of people say, okay, half of them I'm going to make them poor for the rest of their life and see how that goes, and the other one I'll give them that money and see if there will be any change. I mean, it would be unethically correct to do those kind of experiments. So what we do is we sit down and put down on a piece of paper where you do models and things, and you see, would that work, with that, and then based on experiments and stuff. And nobody is an expert, like I keep saying, in the self-reliance medicine, because of that, is that we cannot experiment of it. If people say, well, yeah, but there's disaster, then we're talking about disaster medicine. And in the disaster medicine, even there's a lot of people getting more knowledgeable in the experiment of it, is a new subspecialty of wilderness medicine or emergency medicine, if you want, or emergency medicine having a baby with wilderness medicine and kind of create this disaster medicine. So a lot of people are getting better at it, especially that we're getting more of the stuff like Katrina and everything, and we're discovering a little bit more about it. And there's more research coming in about it, and there's more things, and it's great. But then it's disaster medicine, it's not self-reliance medicine. So then, if you're saying, yeah, but the disaster, then good, then go take a course on disaster medicine, and that would be it. But the problem is that we seem to be, some people out there seems to be choosing the arguments that they want, or, oh, we'll promote this, but we'll come back and stuff. And the people that we're talking about, most of them are healthcare professional, because obviously for the medical field it seems like they're the most expert in the field. But again, the word expert sometimes is misused. To be an expert is, I read one time a quote, is someone that did all the mistakes that needs to be done. So that means that you need to do it over and over and over and over and over so that you can really master this. The problem with this as well, and in the book, Being Wrong, she discussed it very well and stuff, is that there's a bias that we can have, and I'm sure I have it a lot of time, is that as you learn new things, your perspective on some material improve or is different than somebody that never studied that field. And then you sometimes have a problem to go back to see the issue the same way that the other person can do, because it doesn't have this, and they call it the professional BS. And the problem is, I find with what I'm going to be discussing about, so the market of illusion, is that it seems this is what is happening. A lot of those healthcare professionals that are promoting courses and product out there, and I have nothing against that. I mean, the market is the market, and great for that, and nothing against those people, and I don't think there's bad intention, and I don't think there's lies either, and that's why I call them illusions, and not they're lying to you and step away with it. Is that I think we need to approach it with precaution. And what am I talking about? So I'm seeing some course of 8 hours saying that you'll learn all you need to do for self-reliance medicine. 8 hours. And in this 8-hour period, you will learn how to take blood pressure, how to start IVs, how to sutures, how to do, and I'm like, first of all, like, this is almost impossible to teach all that in 8 hours. Or if you're teaching it, the way you're teaching it, the person won't remember. I mean, we're talking about bringing people, and we'll go to this lineup in a second, and I'll explain what I'm talking about. You're bringing someone with no knowledge to suddenly have to take responsibility for medical people, and above a little bit what we're going to be talking about, the midline over here, closer to a healthcare professional in 8 hours, it's impossible. And even if you would be teaching, the techniques would be so spread out and so taught, like, up and down in the head of the person, that this person wouldn't be able to address properly in a situation of stress, in a situation of where a self-reliance would be needed. One big one of this is like intravenous. I don't understand, and I'll do another video pretty soon on fluid resuscitation, why people stick to intravenous. And actually, it will be a 3-part, and the first part will be do not use intravenous, and I'll tell you why. But it's ridiculous that they go to this, and the problem is that it seems like people use what they're comfortable with or what they use all the time, and then bring it back to a level. But we have to remember that we're selling illusion if that's what we're doing, because there's no way that someone with no medical background, next thing you know, can start IVs on the first shot or do pulse blood pressure and know exactly what I need. Because the problem is each technique, it's a little bit like if I would teach someone, here's a Ferris rod, that's how you use it, thank you. Okay, about the tinder, and how about the tinder bundle, and how does it go, and what kind of wood should I use? And this is the problem, is that the technique that you're going to use is the same thing. So if I use, it's easy to teach you how to use the stethoscope. I mean, you put it over there and you listen, and this is the sound you're going to leave. This is not the purpose of it. The use of the stethoscope comes from my knowledge of my physiology in my anatomy that says this disease will sound like this, and the sound that I'm going to say, I'm going to be able to associate it with this, and that's where I'm going to be able to. But for that, it's hours. I mean, and yeah, if just like auscultation, we're talking about a minimum of 4 to 5 hours. If you truly want, and you won't be an expert, but you'll be able to use maybe correctly the stethoscope. But yeah, when people start putting everything on it, what I'm feeling is that they're selling you illusions. They're selling you the illusion that because you're going to go over there, you'll come back and you'll be like, I'm uncomfortable. But when the brown stuff will hit that little thing that turns around called a fan, you will be left with your mouth like this. And I can promise you that, because even as I started my career, and I mean, I went to school and I did stuff and I was doing on a regular basis, still it take hours and hours, because medicine is kind of a triangle. It needs, just like fires, it needs 3 things. There's the art of it, there's the technique, and then there's the knowledge. And all 3 things are totally different. Here the knowledge means I need to have my knowledge of physiology, anatomy, and whatever. My technique, then the technique that I'm going to use, so blood pressure, how to start IVs and everything, will be to address this or to help with this. And the art part, this is the practice part. So when you go through a course, basically you won't have this part. We can teach you this, but that's pretty much the only thing I have done. And so that's why I did this lineup here, is that if you go on a regular first aid course at 8 hours, basically the course that you're going to do is learn how to put and I did this course. I mean, I did like first aid 8 hours, 16 hours. I did my ski patrol, and then I went to this nursing and stuff. So I did a lot of the course. I did bronze medallion. So I did a lot of the first aid course. I know what they are and what they've been teaching. And at 8 hours, basically you learn how to put a quarter in your phone and dial 911. That's pretty much what you learn. And this is in 8 hours. At an EMS level, or EMT I should say, sorry, depending on the place and stuff, but there's 200 to about 300 hours, if some program, even more. And then when you get to the healthcare problem, we're talking about 4 to 10 years of learning. And where do you have to be for self-reliant? Probably around here. Because you have to be closer to healthcare, because you'll have to do things almost to a nursing point of view, or a doctor point of view, doing short of doing a surgery. And there are people saying to you that in 8 hours they'll be teaching you that. It doesn't make any sense. And so they charge you a lot of dollars. And some of the course I saw was about $300, $400 for a course that basically will teach you stuff very quickly, that you will be able to master it. And what are you going to come out with that? Nothing. They're going to just show you nice illusions that you're prepared and good. But the thing is that you're not prepared. You're not, because you're not even near what you should be to be able to or to be able to support what people talk about. And there's other people that are selling some kits out there that sells their self-reliance, and it seems like they're putting a sticker on it, self-reliance kit. And you look inside, and they have nothing for sterilization, nothing to continue. They're all disposable products. And how can you sustain yourself for an unknown period of time with products that will be one-time use? That's why in most of my videos I always talk about about sterilization, about making your own stuff, about improvisation, because either you're going to lose your gear if you're stuck in a disaster, like a hard earthquake or whatever, or a flood, or either once you finish your stuff, you'll be finished with it. And again, they sell you stuff, and some of those kits are like $400.